back to another episode. Ryan and Kevin here with Chaos MMA. And today we have on Miranda Maverick, who fights Julian Robertson at UFC 258. Miranda, first off, how you doing?
I'm doing really good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Thanks for coming on again. And before we get into the fight news and everything else, I just wanted to ask you, how was 2020 overall for you? You know, you make your UFC debut, you get a dominant win. How was 2020 for you?
Well, progressive, I guess, is the best way to say it. A lot of things have happened, mainly good. Of course, a couple bad things happened too, but that's how life goes. Got not only signed with the UFC, almost had my debut in June. Medical issue got in the way, but I was able to make an even better debut in October. And that was really exciting, of course. Was really successful with that against Liana Jojua, finishing her by doctor stoppage between the first and second round. And now, I had a couple offers in 2020, didn't quite get them done because school kind of got in the way during finals in the later part of December. So here we are in early February, getting ready to have another fight against an almost ranked opponent. Jillian was ranked before her last fight, so I'm pretty excited.
So now, when did you first hear about the fight with Gillian Robertson? Because I remember you posted back in the beginning of January that you had this fight.
So actually, Jillian and I have been going back and forth since early December. Okay. I tried to get a fight with her. I believe it was December 19th. Unfortunately, that one didn't pan out. I had a final that came up that I had to have proctored and be there in person for the 18th. So that one was impossible for me. She ended up fighting Talia Santos. That's the fight that she lost. It was a fairly short notice one as well. So instead of me as an opponent, she fought her. And then we ended up getting hooked up again for a fight early January. She said no to that one because it was too short notice, I think, after her previous fight. So she didn't want it. And about a week later, she called and said that she still wanted to fight with me. I shouldn't say she called. The management teams, of course, were in contact. And her management got with mine and said that they wanted the fight. They just wanted to push it a few weeks down the road. And so the matchmaker got it set up. And February 13th ended up being the date. So it's been a back and forth thing with me and Jillian. I think we both respect each other a lot. We know a little bit about each other, have met each other once, and had a lot of the same opponent/grappling exchanges.
Okay. Yeah. So now, when they called you, were you definitely taking this one because this is a great fight for you to take?
Yeah, absolutely. There was no question about it. I'm pretty much take any fight they put in front of me, to be honest. But this is a good one for me. I think the matchup works very well for me stylistically, and there's no way I would have refused this fight. I'm really excited for it.
Well, definitely now. So big fight in 2 weeks. And now so far, how has this camp been going? And have you brought in anyone to like mimic the style of Julian Robertson, or has it been like the same people for every training camp?
I pretty much use the same people for every training camp. I usually am the one that goes and travels at this point if I need work. Honestly, my schedule is part of the rough part with that. I have girls come in sometimes, but I think it's usually more for their benefit sometimes, or they're just excited to train with me. I'm hoping that in the future I'll get to the point where I can bring other people in, but right now, like, I'm not getting paid at the level where I can be paying people to come in and train with me. But I do have some people potentially for future fight camps that would be able to come down if time works. Keep getting pretty short notice fights too, and that doesn't help with that. So like Tisha Torres, I'm sure would be willing to come down for me. I kind of go and help her with her fight camps a little bit. Even Victoria Leonardo possibly, and then Amanda Bobby Cooper, which she right now is about to have a baby. So, she's out of commission for a while, or that would have already been happening. So just different people like that. But right now I'm still training with the guys at my gym. I have a couple girls in there too, and just try to mimic her best we can. But really, it's not necessarily about mimicking. It's just about working on strengths and weaknesses that we see in her and that we see in me, and making that work to my advantage.
Yeah, I remember seeing, I don't know, I don't remember what month it was, but I remember I saw you were training with Tisha Torres. How was that? Like, she's one of the best in that division. How was it learning from her?
It was really good. Actually, I met her back when I was 19, I think. Okay. Had just made my first fight in Invicta or two, and I went up there. My wrestling was pretty competitive with hers at the time, and she was really impressed, I think. And so she just brought up the fact that I was a flyweight, she was a strawweight, so she called me up and asked if I would be free. I was like, of course. I like Tisha a lot, like going out there, and the coaches out there are amazing. They always try to help me too, not just, use me as a punching bag. And it's been that way on all my trips, pretty much everywhere to train. It's a pretty respectable sport, especially within women's MMA. There's not very many of us out there. So we try to help each other where we can. So I went out there, did some striking with her, got to work with her a little bit. Wish I could have stayed longer, honestly, but like I said, school kind of holds me back with my schedule. But it is really good going out there, getting different looks, getting to spar with different people that don't know my game.
Definitely, and that seems like that went well. You are in a good training camp right now. Now, how do you think you match up stylistically with Julian Robertson?
I think she's a very heavy grappler. I really think that's probably 80% of where her strength lies. She tries to get every fight to the ground. She doesn't handle being punched in the face very well, in my opinion. And she has a very limited skill set standing. And even if she has decent striking, she doesn't use it to strike. She uses it to set up takedowns. So for me, I feel like I have a more well-rounded striking game, especially, and my grappling is a lot more heavy pressure oriented than hers is. She's very jiu-jitsu-y, which is, I respect that. I love
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu, but in MMA, it's not always the smartest game plan, but she is very good at getting up from bad positions and getting on top and beating opponents. I do think she's going to have a lot of trouble doing that with me. Grappling is obviously my biggest strength too. So we'll see where it goes. I'm positive it'll end up to the ground at some point, whether it's her just gunning for that or whether I end up taking it there at the end of a round.
And now, do you have a prediction for this fight? Like, you think you're going to get it done in a certain round, or do you not like to do that sometimes?
I keep saying a TKO second round. I'm ready for 3 rounds if that's where it goes. I'm ready to finish it in the first round if I see the opportunity. But working with my coaches, I like picking apart my opponent, finding the right timing, and getting it done. And I just have a feeling it might go to the second round and be it.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, so now does part of you want to go out there and get the finish? Because I remember after your first win, you dominated and the fight got stopped because of her nose, and it definitely should have been stopped because it did not look good at all. So you did have some doubters, though, like there always will be. So is that the finish you were looking for?
That was not the finish I was looking for. I wish I would have been able to put hands on her and make her stop herself, because there is always controversy. It wouldn't matter how stupid it is. If somebody's a fan of someone, like even my fans, and the fight got stopped when I got injured, they'd be like, "Oh, I'll let her keep fighting." But in reality, like it's a fighter's life. We know the consequences. We know how the doctors work and stuff. It's just like going to a judge's decision. But I wish I would have gotten to stop it myself. Obviously, my damage is what caused the stoppage, but putting my hands on her and making her tap herself or, quit in the fight would have been better. This time I plan on going in there and seeking a finish. I always do. I always seek a finish. I'm not much of a decision person. Not very many of my fights have been won by decision. And when they have been, I usually put on a clinic.
Yeah, I was shocked to see that people even doubted that stoppage because you saw her nose and it was just like all messed up. Like if you say you elbowed it again in the second round, like who knows what would happen.
Yeah, I know, but people want to say, it wasn't impeding her vision, and people love blood. It's just part of it, They're like, oh, the bloodier the fight, the better, which is horrible and barbaric, really, but it's part of the entertainment industry.
Definitely. Yeah, well, sounds good on that. Cannot wait for this fight. And I remember you telling me back after I interviewed you after your last win, and you said you're in school right now. So how has it been managing both during a fight and now?
Hard.
Yeah.
I don't know any other way to put it. I'm working every day on schoolwork. I worked on homework today, worked on grading papers today.
Okay.
I'll be doing the same thing tomorrow and every day leading up to the fight. Of course, the focus is more on the fight than schooling right now. So I'm doing my best to fit in 2 to 3 a day trainings and just getting in time when I can for school and focusing on sleep. Sleep's really important. Outside of fight camps, I'll be honest, I usually just put aside sleep. That's usually the thing that gets cut out. But now I'm kind of taking a little bit more time away from school towards sleep and training so that I can be ready for this fight and at my very best. I think once again, I'm going to be looking better than I ever have going into this fight, have an easier weight cut than I've ever had, and just stronger in all areas, technique and physically.
Now, are you online for school right now?
Yes, I am actually. I have all virtual schooling. I'm probably gonna have a class that's gonna go physical, like in person, as soon as they allow. Right now, my university is closed, so it's all virtual, and I'm teaching virtually as well.
Okay, well, that's that. Yeah, it seems like it's like tough to manage, and you're doing fine. It looks like because you're dominating your UFC debut, and so now you go out there, you win in 2 weeks. What do you think's next for you after this one? Are you looking to get back in there quick, assuming everything goes well in 2 weeks?
Pretty much. I like getting paid. I like winning. I hope to get in there and get a top 15 opponent or so. I don't really see them doing anything else but that.
Okay.
I'd be perfectly fine, honestly, with having some girl right off the contender series or somebody brand new, just so I could work through my contract and get a new pay structure going before I fight in the top 10, top 15. But it is what it is. I've never had an easy road to the top in Invicta or in the UFC now. And I'm not looking forward to an easy road necessarily. Yeah. If they give me a top 15 opponent, I'm ready to go. I watch these fights with girls that are number 6, number 7, you know, in the top 10 that honestly just make me want to go in there and fight them instead. Like, I find it somewhat annoying that the flyweight division has a lot of girls in it, but the top 10 is so fluid. Like, one loss, one win, and a different girl's in there, a different girl's out. And it's always just every other month, every 6 months, it's a whole new lineup. And I plan on being in that lineup within the next year.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, so last thing here, do you think if you beat Gillian Robertson that you'll get a ranked opponent? Because that would be a really big win.
I do. I think it'll be a top 15 opponent, not necessarily top 10, but my guess is that top 15 will be kind of their next option for me. I seem to have a lot of hype behind me coming into there. Shout out to John Anik and DC. And I feel like people are trying to shoot me up the ladder pretty quickly. I wish they'd let me kind of work my way up there. But it is what it is. It always kind of works the same way. You look at Macy, you look at Mackenzie Dern, you kind of just get thrown right into the fire, which is also fine with me.
Okay.
Yeah, so I know you don't want to look through Gillian, but do you have any specific opponent in mind in case you beat Gillian?
I have a few opponents in mind if I beat Gillian. The two that I've called out consistently and that I'd still just love to fight are Antonina Shevchenko and also Chookagian. I think those are really good matchups for me.
Okay.
I think it would be a good opportunity for them to give me. The Chookagian one's one of those that I talk about as an analogy to Rocky, kind of. Getting older, she's getting ready to get out of the sport. Like, let somebody young come in there and get to kind of sharpen their steel against hers and see what happens. We'll see what happens. You know, at the end of the day, it's up to the matchmakers, up to the management and the team at UFC. But that's who I would like to see. But now that I watched the fights last weekend and everything, I'm also kind of eyeballing Jessica Ai and JoJo. But it might be that Joanne Calderwood's going to get to fight for the title next or somewhere close to that. And I'll obviously not get that right away. So Jessica Ai is another one that I see coming down the pike for me.
Yeah. So thank you, Miranda, so much for coming on. It was really good speaking with you. Good luck for the next fight. And if you have any sponsors or shout outs you want to make, the floor is yours.
Of course. Thank you. So I do have a lot of sponsors. If you guys want to go to my page, follow me on Instagram at @FearTheMaverick_HOMT. That's the easiest way to not only contact me, but be able to follow my fight camp and all of my sponsors. I have a link tree if you guys are interested in discounts for everything from clothing to CBD to even beef. I'm sponsored by Beef. They're a really cool company to have behind me. So they've been with me the whole time. There's girl clothing that I've had for a while now. Top Mount Apparel that has a lot of jiu-jitsu gear too, and Yotun as well. That's my official like gi company and ones that I wear during my jiu-jitsu competitions. So just check them out. Keep up with my fight camp. I usually try to post some pretty interesting things. You'll see my cute little kitty cat on there too. So that and life on a farm from back home and my brother and sister wrestling is kind of what my feed has. So that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming on. It was great speaking with you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.
All right. Have a good one. Bye. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram and Twitter at KSMMA. Also, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, KSMMA, and we will see you next time. Peace.